We are go for liftoff in T-minus 30.
It's the Weiliotis Podcast.
I like it.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Weiliotis Podcast. Hope you're all doing good today. We have a really good episode for you. We're going to be discussing the horror suspense thriller I See You. But before we get into that, let me, of course, bring on my co-host, the one and only Mikey Wheel. How you doing today, my friend?
Hello, what's going on? I'm doing pretty good. Already Monday and I'm exhausted, but doing pretty good.
Busy day?
Yeah, busy life.
True.
Looking forward to this week, actually. The Bachelor Women Tell All is on right now, so I'll probably watch that tomorrow. And I think finale might be tomorrow, so that's exciting. And I'm going to see Batman this week, so lot to look forward to. But yeah, excited to talk about this movie, especially because my old colleague messaged me about it and was like, "This is your kind of movie," and it just blew me away. It's a movie that I love to show anybody who has any interest in any kind of movie.
Yeah, and it feels like a couple different types of movies in one, or at least the way it kind of guides you into a certain plot line. You think it's going to go a certain way, and then it kind of goes left field. Which, you know, we've talked about a few movies on this podcast that are kind of like that. I think Wrong Turn is probably one of the more recent examples where halfway through it switches gears, becomes something unexpected. So I'm excited to talk about this one today for sure.
What would you call Wrong Turn? Thriller, final girl, suspense? The new one?
Yeah, and I guess I don't know. Like I said, the first half you could almost still categorize as like slasher a little bit.
Yeah,
because it has that deep woods kind of setting. They're being stalked, but of course, like I said, it becomes something completely different. But yeah, final girl, kind of heroine horror thriller.
You know what it kind of has
bunch
to
of
it.
genres.
I didn't even think about this till now. It's got a very Dale and Tucker versus Evil to it.
Wrong Turn does.
Did you see Dale and Tucker yet?
Not yet. No.
But do you know about
I know
it
of
or the
it.
premise?
Kind of, a little bit.
Do you know what? I don't want. Do you want me to tell you the premise of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
It's up there with Cabin in the Woods, our first episode we ever did. Up there with the takes everything you know about Cabin in the Woods movies, flips it on its axis, totally original, straight up comedy. I mean, it's not horror; it's extremely gory. But it's basically the premise is these two rednecks go out in the woods to party or to relax. They're like two guy best friends. They're stressed at their jobs and they rent a cabin out in the woods and they go to stay there. And meanwhile, there are a bunch of college kids who are partying and they come across the rednecks and they are afraid of them and think that they're out to kill them. So as they're trying to escape these two guys who are just on vacation, they're all somehow dying in random various Mother Nature one way or another kind of ways. And it's just
oh, that's interesting.
That's what I kind of think about Wrong Turn is that that the first couple deaths are just them walking into the wrong traps, them in the wrong place at the wrong time. It definitely, there's a scene in the new Wrong Turn movie that's definitely slasher. The scene that was dubbed almost NC-17 that they put on Showtime.
Oh, that's right. I still haven't checked that out yet.
Me either. That makes it horror alone, just that one scene. I really need to watch the new Texas Chainsaw movie. I've heard it's horrible, terrible, awful, but
yeah,
everybody
it seems to be the general
dies
consensus.
and extremely gory in graphics.
It's just kind of funny because, like the new iteration of Halloween movies, it's supposed to take place pretty much directly. Obviously it follows the first one, so it's same universe. In same thing. I think this one's like 40 some odd years, if not 50 years after the events of the first one. So naturally, they bring in a lot of social elements into it, which is, I don't know. I'm not saying you can't, at this point, it's like if you're gonna keep making movies in these series, you might as well just try to switch it up. But I heard it is kind of goes for woke or whatever, and it tries to implement like these different ideas, and apparently it's just really heavy-handed. So I don't know. It sounds fascinating for like a Texas Chainsaw movie, but
I'm curious how they went into it. Were they like, we know this is ridiculous, and like we're just trying to go for gore and over the top, or did they try to make like a good sequel as part of the franchise? Because if they tried to make it just shock value and ridiculous, then they did a good job, it sounds like. But if they tried to make it good, then it's like... But I mean, yeah, the new Scream movie definitely has the woke tendencies to it. A lot of new horror movies have that. Did you see the new Scream?
I did, yeah.
Did we talk about that?
We talked about it, yeah.
I did, yeah.
Two episodes ago. Yeah, it was, you know, and yeah, it definitely has its problems. I liked it enough, but...
I thought it had one major problem. The whole movie was awful. That was my main problem with it.
The whole movie was awful, yeah.
Is that they killed Officer Dewey.
Yeah, they did him dirty. I mean,
I know.
I guess it's weird. It's almost like, well, I guess you'd want like a major character to go out in like a spectacular way, but it was still like that was arguably the most gruesome Scream death. Like yeah.
But it was just
I don't know.
It was another Halloween thing to me where it was just like, hey, we don't need to go do this alone, and we should probably stick together and come back to this later, but I'm going to go conquer this myself. And then it just immediately dies. And it's just like, well...
Yeah, it's funny because at this point, you can't help but like think of stuff like that when you watch like modern slasher movies, because there's just been so many. So in the case of Scream, yeah, you're right. Like, it's it's almost like you have the legacy characters doing their thing, and then everything else is kind of just retreading the same ground, except trying to apply like more modern technology and ideas on top of it. So it's not like truly trying to do something original. And I feel like I kind of felt like even the legacy characters were almost like stapled on. Like they're just like, oh, we have to get them involved, and like
all of them, every single one of them.
At this point, now that Dewey's dead, you really only have two people, right? Like legacy, really. You have Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell, I think.
Yeah, because the cop mom died. I think she was the first one to die in the movie. I mean, everybody dies.
See, that scene to me was probably the best. It was actually really sad. Death? Yeah, because like she's rushing home because her son's gonna be killed. So at the same time as she's rushing home, like he's slowly being inched closer to being dead, and then you find out, and then she actually ends up dying before him, and it's like that whole scene I thought was really well done.
It was like a trap. It was a trap that was like very premeditated, which I thought was kind of that part kind of was cool. And she literally ran right into the knife. I mean, just she kind of set herself up for that, destiny. And it was in the middle of daylight outside too. I mean, they were more ruthless in this movie too.
True.
But yeah, I think we need to play a game on this podcast soon where we're like, okay, what horror sequels do we want to see 40 years later? Because I'm starting to wonder, is every actor and actress who was in a slasher 40 years ago now just waiting for Hollywood to be like, hey, you survived, do you want to come be in this franchise? But I'm curious about that, and I'm also just curious about like how you can like not even woken up everything, but how you can just add modern technology. Like this new Scream movie, her doors to her house are locking and unlocking with the Bluetooth, and there's like Siri involved in all of these things. So that part I really like to see in kind of newer stuff.
Yeah, they can get more inventive with it, which is cool. And like I said, this movie, I see you kind of falls into that realm, or at least it's or like I said, at least compared to like something like some of the other horror movies we've talked about, like Wrong Turn or even Psycho Goreman, it's doing something different with the genre, or at least trying to. And I thought it was pretty effective for the most part. But before we kind of dive into that, do you have any recent watches, movies, TV, any interesting news?
Yeah. So I'm just recording in my living room from now on because it's comfortable. So I have my notes.
Better seat or
comfortable. Got the dog next to me. Can't be in my office for more than 8 or 9 hours a day. But
it beats me. I'm in a closet right now. But it's a nice closet. I've made it look nice.
You're so California, just recording in your closet with your
That's right, humble beginnings.
With your Starbucks coffee holders everywhere.
Oh yeah.
There's a new episode. So here's some of the things I've been watching. Bachelor, Law and Order, Organized Crime. Never watched Law and Order before. Can't turn it off. It's amazing.
The new Law and Order?
Yeah, Organized Crime with Spencer. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's got a lot of like actors from different mafia shows and movies. But Been watching American Auto, the new Justin Spitzer show, who did Superstore. Along with that sitcom, they also have what is it? Abbott Elementary, which is kind of an office style interview show that takes place in Philly, inner city, and it's fantastic. Goldberg's Home Economics, This Is Us, Million Little Things came back. I finally binged all of Psych, and then I watched the first Psych movie. Now there's 2 more Psych movies. I'm kind of slowing down on it because I don't want to be done. But I have 2 big recommendations for you or anybody.
Sure.
First off, cannot recommend it enough. Did you watch Dollface?
Dollface? I don't
on Hulu.
So. No. Wait, who made that show?
So a few years ago, I want to say like in the last 10 years, did you ever watch Man Seeking Woman?
Never saw that one too. I think we talked about that a little bit on the last episode. I do want to see that one a lot though. And actually, I have a list here of every show I'm trying to watch. I actually added Abbott Elementary.
You did?
That was the last entry I put. So, what was the other one you mentioned?
So Man Seeking Woman is what's his name? The guy from Freaks and Geeks. But that was based off of a book by somebody. And then Dollface came out 2 years ago. The second season just dropped on Hulu. Kat Dennings, Brenda Song, Esther Pavitsky, super funny comedian, Shay Mitchell. And the best way to describe it is that it's 100% like the female telling of Man Seeking Woman. So it's Kat Dennings in like the first 5 minutes, her boyfriend of 5 years breaks up with her. And she winds up getting on a bus, and it's driven by a cat, and the whole entire bus is all like crazy cat ladies who were dumped by their boyfriends, and it's just the kind of hyperbole dream sequence of what it's like trying to date in your late 20s, early 30s. It's got less fantasy to it than Man Seeking Woman, and that's not a good thing or a bad thing, but it's just super funny. The characters are great, the cameos are great. So yeah, Dollface, and then I haven't been on Netflix in forever. I've not been on Netflix forever because there was just like 3 years where all Netflix had was like young adult shows. It was just soap opera,
I know.
young adult. And
I feel like that's still the case with like a lot of networks like HBO, and you have Euphoria now, which I do need to watch because I like the first season quite a bit.
But of course, Squid Games came out. I know that won a couple things. I think at the Independent Spirit Awards.
That's one thing I gotta say, and I know that was like a foreign production too, but like out of every streaming service, I think Squid Game is still like one of the best things that ever has come out of streaming, like for shows.
Yeah,
I still think about that all the time. It's such a cool show.
It's I don't know where they're gonna. I think I won't get too much into it. I think what I want for like the next season of Squid Games is not really a sequel. I want more of a prequel. I don't want to see what happened after the games were like shut down and all of this. Like I want to see another 100 people competing in a different game with different games, and I guess it might not be called Squid Games if it's different games, but I'd like to see more of that and then see what happened after. But anyway, Netflix has Tinder Swindler, which I haven't watched quite yet. It's got a bunch of new stuff. I just binged Inventing Anna, which is based off of the true story of Anna Delvey, who is the German heiress who came here and everything was a lie and made up. And it's I think 9 episodes on Hulu, each one about an hour long, and it stars fantastic actress Julia Gardner. Laverne Cox is in it. Anders Holm from Workaholics. It's a really, really good show and just super nuts. It's funny. It's the first ever Shonda Rhimes show that I've watched.
Okay.
Yeah, she moved to Netflix a few years ago. But that's what I've been watching. Trying to think of movies. Haven't really been watching too many movies, just binging shows, and been watching some kind of lighter comedies. Single Drunk Female takes place in Boston. Really funny. It's about a woman who's a recovering alcoholic trying to kind of manage her life. Pivoting, about 3 women best friends. Their friend passes away and they kind of grow closer. And then I also been watching Call Me Kat, which is I watch a lot of shows at work, which is the show with what's her name, the Jeopardy host.
Alex Trebek?
No,
Jeopardy.
The new one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I know. I don't know her name. I forget. I know who you're talking about though.
But that is what I've just been. I watch a lot. Mayim Bialik. Bialik.
Balick, that's not, yeah, I think Mayim Balick, right?
I feel like I'm in the scene in what is it? Black Sheep, where they're driving the car and the nitrous leaks out into their car and they're like, speed limits, roads. But that's what I've been up to. I'm always watching a million things. But yeah, what have you been watching? And also, what's on your list for things you want to watch?
Yeah, well, yes, it's kind of saying more TV shows than movies this time because I've been getting into a lot more. I think I've already watched or started to watch more shows in the first 3 months of this year than I did complete, all of last year, which is cool because there's so many good shows out right now. But I'll start with movies because I guess I've only seen, I think, 2 or 3 since last week. But I saw Uncharted, which was, it was run of the mill. I mean, it was fun, but I already forgot it. Like, I already forgot so much about it. It's obviously based on the Naughty Dog games, very popular, very fun games. I've only played a little bit of the first and second one, but they're kind of known for being these ultra cinematic, high action adventure, called like swashbuckling kind of themed video games. And this one, obviously, like Nathan Drake's a lot younger, played by Tom Holland, and you have Mark Wahlberg as Sully. They're the kind of duo that in this movie go and try to find it.
Mark Wahlberg even plays somebody named Sully in Uncharted.
Yeah.
Is he from Boston?
The character in Uncharted? I don't think so.
I played the video game. It came with my PlayStation for free. I think the best way to describe Uncharted to anybody is it's Lara Croft Tomb Raider, but with a guy. Right?
I mean, yeah. That's like, yeah, sure. You could say that, I guess. Again, you probably know more because you've actually played a full game. But yeah, that's like the gist of it. But yeah, in this one, it's literally just they're trying to find this like 500-year-old lost treasure. These like 2 treasure ships with millions, if not billions of dollars worth of gold in it. And there's kind of side plots about Tom Holland also looking for his brother because the search for this treasure, like it was him and his younger or older brother's original kind of goal in life to find it. So it has all these intertwining plot lines, and it's just fine. It's just a pretty fun, like straightforward action flick. Obviously, I feel like this movie kind of falls in like the Marvel reality camp where somehow like people survive shit they shouldn't, like to almost like a staggering degree. You're like, okay, like I know you're above average. Like you're obviously probably Tom Holland in this movie, obviously like he's incredibly smart. He's supposed to be more agile than most people, but still like like there's a whole, I mean, it's a fun scene, but the whole scene when he's literally like they're being like, they sneak onto a ship or a plane taking off, and like all the cargo like just spills out the back, and they're like hanging on, like jumping from cargo to cargo as it's like flying out the back of a plane. And then Tom Holland,
I saw that in the trailer.
Yeah, he falls off, and he's just like hurtling down into the sky, and he like falls on top of a car that's also falling. But like the speed at which he hits it like he should have been nothing, like just like a bug on a windshield, but instead he's just like, ugh, and he's just on top of this car, and like I don't know, it's fucking, it's Fast and Furious Marvel level like ridiculousness, but to a fun degree though.
It was very interesting because it came out right after him in Spider-Man, which now has beat Avatar and Titanic, which makes me now hate Spider-Man because nobody touches James Cameron. And everybody's like, Uncharted.
Avatar 2.
What is it?
So wait till Avatar 2. Maybe that will come back.
If ever. But no, true. Now it's just like everybody's like, Uncharted sucked compared to Spider-Man. Like Tom Holland went from high to low. Like this movie tanked compared to Spider-Man. It was like they're very different movies, first of all. But also, I think it got like also one of the biggest openings for a video game movie of all time, which I haven't seen it. But there's been some damn good video game movies. How did this top the cake? And I really just wonder, is this going to be a study in 20, 30, 60 years in cinema where like, were these movies box office masters because of COVID? You know that's right. Because you're like,
because I know so many articles, especially when No Way Home came out. And I saw so many headlines that were like, Spider-Man No Way Home, it's the savior of cinema amidst the pandemic, and it's like, well, yeah, you're right. There's a lot of different elements, and maybe it could be like nowadays. It almost seems like even more so nowadays, especially post-COVID, where I feel like there's only certain movies that are really going to to like make it big, like really, make like $1 billion, and that's gonna be these, like existing IPs like Spider-Man or something.
I think you have to like line up, like in the few years we'll be able to line up the variant and like the mask mandates with like what movies came out at that time and stuff. It's a science too to the production companies and the the backers of these movies, because it's like some movies were released during the worst part of the pandemic in theaters and sold nothing, and then other ones were released like
literally Tenet, Christopher Nolan's last movie, was released at the worst time. Like it was like early midsummer, like the lockdowns had already been in place, like mask mandates, everything was still scary, like no one knew what the fuck was going on, and he's like, no, we're gonna release it, I don't care. I don't think it sounds like that, but
it was so Christopher Nolan, like, I shot it in blah 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 millimeter, and the only way to see it is in theaters.
Now, to be fair, yeah, like he does make a good point, like his movies look amazing in theaters, and I saw it in theaters too, obviously a couple times actually, and but like it's funny because I remember that whole year. I remember he kept pushing it and pushing it. There were certain movies that, like, I think No Time to Die got pushed back so many times. Like it was supposed to come out in like March or April of 2020, and then it got pushed to like the summer. Then it got pushed into the year. Then it got pushed to 2021. Like it just kept being pushed and pushed and pushed. So I'm almost surprised Tenet didn't. Like I feel like if Nolan waited a year, that movie probably would have been like, I don't know actually, if that, because it's one of his more unique movies for sure, Tenet. So I don't know if it was released in summer 2021, maybe if it would have done a lot better than it did in 2020.
You were all of the ticket sales for Tenet.
I know.
You saw it 6 times?
No, not 6 times. I think 3, maybe 2. Definitely at least 2 times.
I still haven't seen it.
No, actually, you know what? I'm trying to remember because I saw it. Man, I'm trying to remember. I saw it twice.
You saw it in 2D, in IMAX, in something millimeter, and then something else, right?
Oh yeah, so I did see it. I think I saw it on 70 millimeter. I saw it on film in Atlanta. I forget the theater, but it's Atlanta's oldest theater. And then I saw, I think I just saw it in IMAX, and then I might have seen it another time, just standard 2D. So I think at least 3 times. And then I haven't seen it since. I haven't seen it since 2020, but it's a really cool movie. I definitely need to see that again, especially now that Robert Pattinson is in everything.
All Pattinson.
Yes.
Yeah. What else? What else you got for recent movie and TV watches?
Well, speaking of Pattinson, I saw the Batman finally.
Yeah.
So we won't go into too much with you because you haven't seen it yet, but it's cool, like really fucking cool. What I like most about it is it's super confident. It's a very confident, very detail-oriented Batman movie. Like the city of Gotham to me has never looked quite as grand and gothic and dark and spooky. And I don't know, there's so much going on in this movie, but it looks beautiful. Robert Pattinson, honestly, might be early to say, but he might be one of the best live action performers to do Batman.
Is this a setup? Is this like more the origin and like, hey, there's going to be 12 more fucking movies, we're just getting started kind of thing?
I'm sure it's what Warner Brothers wants to do. Although the movie itself, the good thing I like about it is it doesn't try to recreate an origin story. It takes place right from the bat. It's 2 years into him being Batman, So what was that?
Right from the bat.
Oh yeah. So like right off the bat, it's like, all right, everyone kind of already knows the origin story. We've seen multiple iterations of it, so it doesn't really waste time on that. And I mean, there actually is. It feels like there's a little bit of setup in the movie, but I don't know. It's been weird. Like Matt Reeves in a lot, and he's been commented on saying like he's not even like sure if a sequel's happening, but it definitely feels like it definitely feels like at least a trilogy should come out of this. I would love to see what he could do with 2 more movies, and because it's such a confident tone, style, one of the best Batmans easily.
Just spoil one thing for me. Is Mr. Freeze in it?
No, I wish.
Then I won't see it.
See, I was thinking about like fan casting. Like if they did a trilogy, like who are the villains in this type of band? For me, I want Mr. Freeze. I want Giancarlo Esposito as Mr. Freeze.
Okay.
And then honestly, I would love to see Cillian Murphy reprise his role as Scarecrow, because Scarecrow's one of my
Jesus.
favorite Batman villains, and he's just a great actor. So, and he's
That
played
was kind of a horror movie in itself. Now that I think about it,
Batman
was
Begins?
that Batman Begins? Yeah,
Yeah. There were
That was
definitely a lot
kind
of
of a-
horror elements in that, for sure.
that was a scary movie. I mean, that could have been like, I mean, Marvel is doing their second horror movie now with Doctor Strange, but like that could have been the first horror DC movie. Like that would have been.
Yeah,
Although
I like Batman Begins, although I do think Nolan messed up. I think because more of the focus was on Ra's al Ghul, then Scarecrow was more like the side villain in that movie. I think he should have been the main villain.
Who's Randall?
Ra's al Ghul, that is his trainer, played by Liam Neeson.
Sounds like somebody from the Jungle Book.
Ra's al Ghul, yeah. It's fun to say. Ra's al Ghul. Gaja Jul. Oh, it's hard to do a spoonerism with that.
Gabagool?
Gabagool, yeah. Oof. I'm hungry. Now I'm hungry, yo. But no, it's awesome. I'm really excited to see what you think of it, because it's like I've already told you, it's very much kind of like, I remember when The Dark Knight came out, people were like, oh, this is like a crime epic that just happens to have Batman in it. This one feels like a detective noir thriller that happens to have Batman in it. Like it goes super hard into that kind of neo-noir feel, and like dark alleyways, it's pouring rain, neon nightclubs, all that kind of stuff. It's awesome. It's really a great visualization of Gotham. One of the best depictions.
I was going to ask that. Is it a very dark movie, like lighting wise?
Oh yeah.
But can you see? Can you tell what it?
Yeah, there's a couple shots where you're like, all right, what the fuck? Like, why did they increase the exposure on that or
I
something?
I can just tell. I can tell it's going to be a movie where like looking at the person next to you, like, what just happened?
Yeah, what did I just see?
Yeah.
All
right.
But no, there's only a handful of scenes. Overall, I loved it though. I'm excited to see. I'm gonna see it again soon. So
I have don't answer it for me, but I have one question from the trailer that kind of excites me. It's probably not true, but it almost seems like this Batman kills. Which, if he does, I'm going to be very excited about it. All I know is there's a scene in the trailer where like 80 people are shooting him with machine guns, and he's just like throwing them on the ground. So it could be the typical like cheesy action where he like slams somebody's head and then they just like get up and they're alive again. They're just running around.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. I feel like in certain like just in general, like a lot of comic book movies, like like someone will like they'll like I don't know, like someone's head will be grabbed and just like shoved on like a metal pole or something, and like they should have a concussion, but they're just like whoa, like yeah, no. Actually, the action and violence in this movie is great. The sound design for one is really like you feel every punch, and like it's not like the editing is great for the fights. The camera actually allows you to see everything. It's not just all like super close cuts. But it kind of mixes like more like medium frame shots where you can see all the action, and then close shots to kind of increase the intensity of the action. But the choreography is really great, especially there's one scene when Batman actually fights Catwoman for like a few minutes, like they're kind of their first introduction. That scene is really cool. But no, like it's hard hitting action. I don't think he kills anybody. I think he still has that kind of mantra of no, like the killing would make me as bad as these guys or whatever. But
it's the worst part of Batman. It's the worst part of Batman.
Is it though? To be
100%.
fair, like there's the whole idea of like, all right, so Batman, he puts all these villains in jail only for them to escape again and kill more people. But like,
he could have killed the Joker. Then the Joker went to prison. The prison was bombed. He escaped prison. Then killed Maggie Gyllenhaal and like tens, if not hundreds, of other people and blew up a hospital. All because Batman decided to hang him upside down and be like, the cops are coming for you. Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, well, again, that's I guess what makes there's like some conflict there that is very much talked about in this movie, by the way. Like there's a lot of themes. Yeah. There's a lot of themes that's cool that like I feel like fans have talked about that are actually like in this movie now regarding the fact that I think even right in the beginning, there's actually internal monologue in this movie, which is cool. It's like adds to that noir kind of effect, and people have been calling him like emo Batman because of it and stuff. Whereas, it's another dark brooding night. Like I am fear, I am out here. But it's cool. It's so cool. And
Mark Hoppus posted a picture and said, "I'm going to tell my kids this was Pete Wentz."
Yeah, and he literally he mentions at one point, he's like despite being Batman for 2 years, he's like, the crime rate has only gone up. He's like, so is what I'm doing actually making a difference, or is it? So like all this stuff is talked about and shown, which is cool. And I don't want to say anything about the ending, but the ending, I feel like unites all these ideas in actually a pretty beautiful way. And it kind of brings back just superheroes actually like helping people, which is like something I feel like you don't see a lot of, weirdly enough, in comic book movies now. It's a lot of cosmic like stuff where like you have Doctor Strange fighting aliens or something. So it's nice to see some like return to roots of just like superheroes being superheroes and saving people and being a beacon of hope in a sense.
I read recently that Robert Pattinson has been lying in interviews since the first one he's done. He just makes stuff up and lies. Like, he hates being in the limelight, and you can tell. My favorite thing right now is to watch him on any commercial with Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Because it'll just be like, it'll be a commercial for like golf clubs, and he's like, I'm Robert Pattinson, go see Batman in theaters, brought to you by Titleist. And you can just tell he probably almost didn't play Batman because he didn't want to have to do any press for it.
Yeah, he's almost, it's weird, he's almost like an anti-celebrity in some ways like that, where he doesn't have the traditional like, I don't even know, like Boy Scout kind of approach to like interviews and stuff. You're right, he just plays it really chill and doesn't like really lead into any of that stuff, which kind of makes him all the more cool. And what was I gonna say about this movie? Last thing I was gonna say, yeah, he's great in it though. Like everyone, the whole cast is great. Paul Dano, unrecognizable Colin Farrell, being the crazy penguin. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff in this movie. And then that's pretty much it though, I think, for movies. And then shows, like I said, I've been watching a few things. Finished up season 2 of The Righteous Gemstones.
Nice, really
great. Maybe not as like tight as the first season, maybe not as quite as cinematic, but still very funny. Still introduces a lot of funny ideas, a lot of new characters. The 2 best Erics working today, Eric Roberts and Eric Andre. And then also almost done, I think I have one more episode of Pam and Tommy on Hulu.
Oh, how is it?
It's actually really funny. And it plays, I don't know, it plays out like it's funny. It almost has like Scorsese kind of elements to it. It has all like all the classic needle drops from like, rock of like from like the 70s to the 90s. And I don't know, it plays it like this kind of, plays it out like this epic in a sense where characters are getting into much deeper problems than they were expected. And it's interesting. I think that Lily James plays Pamela Anderson.
Yeah.
It's insane.
She's the most unrecognizable. I mean,
not even just the prosthetics and makeup, but like her performance is so spot on. Like her the way like just she moves her hands or the way she like flicks her hair, like all the little mannerisms are crazy. And she's unrecognizable. Sebastian Stan is really great as Tommy Lee, and then Seth Rogen, who is, I think this whole part of the movie was definitely fictionalized, but
it was, yeah,
I think so, because I don't even know if like Tommy Lee even knows who actually stole his cassette. But in this movie, or in the show, Seth Rogen is like a construction worker. He gets screwed over by Tommy Lee because he's trying to construct his bedroom, and after like months of working on it, he doesn't pay him or his employees anything. So Seth, in return, sneaks into their place. He steals like one of his huge safes and has all like guns and money in it. And then it happens to have the cassette with their sex tape on it. And then, and like I said, he tries to sell it. He gets into a whole mess of issues, but it's great. It cuts back between like him dealing with that and also the kind of the now all the attention that they have on them for the sex tape being released, and how Penthouse got their hands on it. And I think what's great too is it shows the difference between like how Pam and Tommy respond to it. Like Tommy's just like, oh, whatever, it will blow over, and she makes a good point about how it's like, no, you're a guy, you're gonna get high fives in the street. I'm gonna be viewed as like a whore, as a slut.
It's still that way today too.
Oh, very much. So the show is, to me, it handles that really well. She has a lot of great moments where it kind of nails home that point, in a pretty satisfying way. But yeah, very, very good though. I'm only one episode away from finishing it. I like it quite a bit. And then the After Party on Apple.
Second season.
Good.
It already got renewed. I haven't even seen it, but it already got renewed.
You're gonna love it. It's super funny. What I love about it, it's definitely a comedy. It's incredibly funny, super super quick witted. But its actual suspense elements are really well done. Like, it actually is like a good whodunit. You genuinely, like, at this point, I think I'm on episode 6 of 8 now, and like I still have no idea. Like, just when you think like, oh, like this person probably did it, like 3 other characters kind of come into play and mess everything up, and it's kind of constantly coming back between the present, where after Dave Franco's character Xavier is killed. It cuts back to earlier in the party before he's killed, and then it does even farther flashbacks, like back to when everyone was in high school, because it's all about like a high school reunion pretty much gone wrong, or the after party going wrong. So like it's a legitimate like suspenseful whodunit, but also just stupid funny, and everybody, like every actor gets like such a great chance to showcase their talents. I know Alana Glazer's in it. Ike
Barinholtz.
I forget them. Oh yeah, what's his name? He plays Ben Schwartz.
Yep,
Super
Ben
funny in
Schwartz.
this.
Zoe, what's her name? Oh, Sam Richardson is in it.
Sam Richardson. Dave Franco, obviously. Oh yeah, Sam
Zoe,
Richardson's great in this too. He's also in
Zoe Chow.
He's also in Ted Lasso season 2, which was cool.
And that's
Tiffany Haddish. Obviously, Tiffany Haddish is like the main detective in this. Super funny.
Jason Sudeikis produced the TV show with Tim Robbins and Sam Richardson, Detroiters.
Oh yeah,
Jason Sudeikis. I watched that after I watched Ted Lasso, and Jason Sudeikis is in one of the episodes of Detroiters. I think the premiere.
Oh wow!
So I think that's how he wound up getting into Ted Lasso.
That's great.
Got Tiffany Haddish, John Early. I mean, it's such a good cast.
And everyone's really at the top of their game. Actually, what's his name too?
Mel Rodriguez is in it. I'm in.
Mel Rodriguez, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what this guy's name is. Jamie Dimitru. Yeah, Jamie Dimitru is how you say his name. He's so funny in this. He plays like the most awkward, cringy character in the world. It's brilliant. Only other thing I've seen him in is Fleabag. He was really funny in that too.
Oh yeah, it's been on my list for a while. It just seems like one of those, you do one for them, you do one for you. It seems like it was just a bunch of friends in Hollywood who were like, let's get together and have fun for work.
I think you'll love that show.
Yeah.
I think that's it for shows, and I'm still working again. I'm for like the 10th time I'm watching Breaking Bad again with my roommate, so almost done with that.
Has he finished it yet, Skylar?
No, we're on like I think we have like 8 more episodes. But we're kind of milking it because it's just so good, and but obviously it's all for him because I've already seen it plenty of times. And
I'm gonna Facebook message him when he has 1 episode left. Be like, hey, here's everything that happens at the end.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all a dream. It's all a dream.
Yeah. Huh, Jesse? Huh?
Bitch.
I think that's it. I think that's mainly it for shows. I'm working on. I'm trying to think of what else I'm actually working on. Or actually, a couple of shows I know I'm going to start soon. One of them is have you seen the trailer for Severance with Adam Scott?
Yeah,
that looks awesome.
Brilliant plot, directed by Ben Stiller. Yeah, I mean it's
gonna be good.
It's so cool because it's one of those plots where it's like, what can go wrong, and then it's like, you'll find out. I like that part. I even like the fucking image of it on Hulu. I mean, it's this.
Yeah, the aesthetic. Aesthetically, it looks fucking cool. And so, if I'm not mistaken, the general plot is there's like a program that can wipe your memory of working, so you like never like remember actually doing work, right?
So when you're at work, you don't have any memories of your personal life and outside of work.
Oh.
And then when you go home at the end of the day, you have no memories of work. So just a way to kind of shut one off to be successful in one environment versus the other. So
right.
Yeah, I imagine
that's a crazy idea.
There's got to be some kind of plot. Maybe his wife visits him at work and he doesn't know her. Got to be something to it. But yeah, it looks fantastic, and it looks like it's going to be darkish. And then also they're starting to reshoot shoot Party Down, the revival of Party Down. Adam Scott posted a picture of it the other day.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say real quick here, is that your TV list
that I'm looking at right now?
No, it was that it for you.
Well, I added some of the stuff you mentioned, like Abbott Elementary, Dollface, Billions, Gomorrah, which is like a Russian crime epic series on HBO.
Yeah.
You also, I think all these other are from you too. Black Donnelly's, Wayward Pines.
Yeah.
Terra Nova. Yeah. So I have all those. I have all those saved.
Sci-fi.
Oh yeah, and also I just mentioned earlier, but I finished Ted Lasso. Season 2 was so good. You know, it's funny. Like I, at first I was almost like, season 2. Like at the beginning, I'm like, it's good. I'm like, but it almost feels a little like sappier. But the writing in season 2 is incredible. Brett, the guy who plays Roy, He has a first look deal with Warner Brothers. Like I hope that dude just blows up. He's so funny.
He was just on Sesame Street doing a thing with Oscar the Grouch. They were both in trash cans.
Oh, that's great. Oh yeah, he does look like him. That's funny.
Yeah, well, it was like
he has
the
the
two
thick, he has like the
two
thick
grumpy
eyebrows
guys.
and the grumpiness. Yeah,
I mean, obviously it's Bill Lawrence who made Scrubs, and he's so good at doing dramedy. I love it because now that you've seen it, it's like the first season is just laughs and good quotes, and then the second season dives into his meltdown and his
that's another
anxiety
thing.
and his
Season 2 has a lot more
panic
dramatic
attacks.
moments.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it was just
it
like
deals
a
with his
totally
mental
different
health.
season.
Really, with mental health of a couple different characters, and
Yeah.
it's handled very well. Jason
'Cause it's
Sudeikis is insanely good in it.
It goes to show you that like anybody, I think this isn't, I don't think the most intentional setup, but the whole first season you're just watching this guy who on the outside is the happiest, bubbliest, most personable, loving, friendly person, and then the second season you just find out that he's completely fucking crashed, and it's just like it can happen to anybody, and anybody can put on a facade, but he's just completely broken down on the inside, and it's just like
That's
so
what was kind
crazy.
of brilliant about it. Yeah, you're like he is this good nice guy, but he's almost excessively nice and people pleasing to kind of cover up how he really feels, which can definitely is definitely relatable in a lot of ways. So yeah,
He likes to be busy.
amazing series so far.
What'd
You said they're only going to do 3 seasons total.
That has changed, apparently. I think it has
Yeah.
changed, and he's going to make it work. But what did you think of the end of season 2, where it sets up this like big antagonist for season 3?
Yeah, Nathan. I think it's honestly, I kind of liked it because, well, here's one thing I almost forgot about Nathan. Like, so his character is really the progression and evolution of his character is also really interesting throughout season 2 because he becomes a coach. So like he has now this new amazing job but his ego just becomes more and more inflated. He becomes more selfish over the series. But also what I found funny, a little aesthetic choice is, I don't know if you noticed, but every episode his hair got more and more gray. And then by the final shot, his hair was completely white. Because like throughout the show, my roommate's like, yo, does he have gray hair? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I thought he just had like brown, black hair. And then every episode, and then by like the second to last episode, his hair is noticeably gray. So like they literally he's changing aesthetically and like physically, and then mentally he's becoming more selfish and kind of just like he's not being a team player. And I don't know, you're right. Like, the way it ends, it's almost like it almost feels like maybe too self-serious, or like I don't know, but
it's kitschy.
It's a little kitschy and just like because he stares at the camera, it's all serious and shit.
Punch to the gut, where you're like, it seemed like a series finale where it was just like, haha. And now
I think it's cool that in the beginning Nathan just seemed kind of like a just a kind of funny side character, and now he's changed so much of being just this water boy, and now he's coaching a whole team by himself, and he's kind of gained this whole new level of confidence. So it's cool just how much certain characters have actually changed, and I think it might be kind of cool to see how that plot could interweave with everything else going on in the series.
What was his reason? Because it was valid, right?
So yeah, there's actually a really disheartening scene where he basically just unloads on Ted and calls him like fake, and you're an idiot, and like you should never have come here. So he completely disowns him, which is like way different than the way he's treated him prior in the show. And then the final game in the series in the show when they win, Nathan just like he doesn't celebrate with the team, he just walks away. And then
there was a reason.
Well,
what did he say to Ted? There was
because he felt like he wasn't being utilized. Like he felt like basically his work was being taken from him. Like Ted was getting the praise for like coaching, but he's like, no, he's like you're a fucking idiot from Kansas. I'm the one that's actually coaching and like providing good quality game tactics and whatnot. So
he took one of his ideas. That's what it was,
so
right?
Even though like obviously Ted obviously lacks experience with the game of football, UK football, but like he obviously has a major impact like mentally on the whole team. That's kind of like where his strengths come in, I guess, in coaching.
It's interesting because you just think of football, soccer, any athlete as just these kind of meatheads who just have no personality and are just showing up and are like, I kick ball, and it's like that's what you think of them. But like this really, I like it too because like I think in other shows or movies like this, you could add in new actors to play the athletes and nobody would ever recognize that they changed them up or they weren't the same. Like this show, you really get to know a lot lot of the team. They all have lines. They all have their background. Yep. One of them is going to be in the new Venom movie.
Oh, nice.
Danny Rojas.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's one thing too. Like this whole, I love shows where it's just so like everyone's so good. You're excited to see what else they're gonna do. Like every single character, Juno Temple, who I've always loved.
She's fantastic.
Hannah Waddingham, I think.
Yeah,
she's
the two of
amazing.
them
Obviously,
together.
Jason, but like, yeah, and even like all those, like the guy who plays Sam and Phil who plays Jamie. Like all these side characters are
Coach Beard.
Coach Beard, yeah.
I want to know more about him. I want a spin-off.
He has I love the episode that's all about him.
Yeah,
that one's so good. He's such a good actor. Yeah, I feel like I've seen him pop up in a bunch of stuff, but I don't know.
It's definitely one of those shows that can pull off like bottle episodes where it's just like, hey, we're just gonna show you what happened to like Sam's dad in 1942 for a half hour, and that's the episode. You're like, cool, let's run with it.
Yeah, that's what Righteous Gemstones does too. They have whole flashback episodes.
Oh, cool.
Because they're adding to the kind of family history in that show, which is really cool. But yeah, Ted Lasso is fucking amazing, and that's pretty much it at the moment. But I know, so if I keep my kind of consistency up, next episode I'll probably have like 10 more shows I'm watching, which again at this point is not a problem. It's nice to have stuff to always watch.
So many options out there.
Oh yeah.
I'll just mention this real quick. I have an Oscars sheet. This is like the first time that I'm kind of making myself watch Oscar movies that I don't care for, which is 98% of the Oscars. And I just want to name the ones I've seen and the ones that really surprised me. So Don't Look Up, knew I was going to love it, and I loved it. Nightmare Alley, fantastic. I didn't see Shape of Water, the last Guillermo movie, didn't care much for it. This movie, I didn't care much for. I thought it was going to be a werewolf love story. It's a very realistic story. I think it needs to win Best Set Design. Power of the Dog, that was the only Oscar movie that I've watched that I could not have given any less of a shit about. The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Jessica Chastain, brilliant. Being the Ricardos with Bennett.
That one's pretty good.
I loved it. Spencer.
Oh, you watched it? Nice.
Yeah. These are the ones that I've watched out of all of them. And then what else?
You loved it too.
Which one?
Being the Ricardos.
I did. Yeah,
nice.
Fantastic. Encanto. Where else are we?
Encanto.
It's funny when you.
I liked Encanto.
It's my son's favorite movie. It's the only thing he watches. And then Free Guy, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man. That's probably going to be the one category where I'm going to see everything, is Dune, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi, and Spider-Man.
Yeah, please, I know you can't see in theaters now, but like, watch Dune like 4K.
I tried to the other day. I sat there and I went, nope. I was like, I'm going to put this on when it's the most background, like, next podcast we do.
You gotta immerse yourself, yo. It's great.
For an hour and 30 minutes, I'd watch it in a heartbeat. But like, I don't need half hours of a space opera.
No, that movie justifies its runtime because again, the world building is some of the best like I've ever seen. It's amazing. But I know. If you don't love space operas, then that's just what I'm gonna do about it.
What I do plan to watch is King Richard.
Yeah, same. I'm gonna see that soon.
Tick Tick Boom, which is on Netflix. Drive My Car, I really want to see that. West Side
Drive My
Story.
Car, like I said, Hamaguchi, amazing. Asako 1 and 2, try to watch that also, and like randomly whenever you can, because that movie is beautiful and really unique, super unique.
West Side Story is on Disney Plus now for anybody
cool.
who wants to watch that. Tick Tick Boom is on Netflix for free.
Yep.
Tragedy Macbeth is hitting one of the streaming services.
It's on Apple.
HBO Max. Apple? Is that what it is? Yeah.
Also really great too.
Cruella, of course, is on Disney now.
Cruella's really cool. I was very surprised by it. Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
I went to watch it the other day and it was 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I went.
I mean that's we already talked about that's standard fare now, but like especially with Disney live action movies are always like 2 hours 15 minutes kind of deal.
Really? Yeah. House of Gucci's like 3 hours, and I'm like,
yeah, that movie's not justified.
No interest in 3 hours of my life, like that's.
But yeah, no, we'll definitely be doing an Oscars episode. Hopefully we can do a pre and post so we can discuss some movies we've seen because we've already seen a handful of them, and then post we can talk about the winners, what we thought was justified, whatever.
I want to see Coda. Coda is filmed in Gloucester. That's on Apple.
I am pissed though that they are cutting like a lot of major categories from like airtime. I think it's really fucking stupid. I don't even think they're gonna show film editing. Or
really?
Did you hear about that? Like, because a lot of directors came out and they were like, why are we doing this? Like, it is an award show, right?
Yeah, but it's just a Hollywood thing where it's like best actor, best actress. Bring
Yeah, but
only
like
the hot people on stage.
Who are they advertising to now? You know, like because general people general audiences do not give a fuck about the Oscars, and you know, even film fans like us, like I care a little bit about the Oscars, but like I'm not like, I don't know. It's one of those things where like my support kind of is wanting over time. Like I might like tune in, watch some categories. I did actually watch all of last year's, but for the most part, like in recent years, I've just kind of like tuned into certain categories, but I haven't watched the whole event.
I mean, 3 hosts too. That's just like a lot of hosts. Like that's too much. We don't need that. No. We need Ricky Gervais every year.
Yeah, get Ricky Gervais.
I was watching his YouTube videos the other day, just like the worst Ricky Gervais burns at the Oscars.
Get someone like him that can roast people, because that's always funny. When's that not funny, when someone can really just roast somebody?
I mean, he even makes like Tom Hanks uncomfortable. Like,
yeah, right.
He'll call out Dame Judi Dench just in the audience, and it's just like so funny. That just, I mean, he's I love him. If anybody's looking for new shows to watch any of his shows on Netflix. He does like just fantastic dramedies on Netflix. Derek, which won nominated for a couple Emmys, which had Brett Goldstein in it way before Ted Lasso. And then his new one, Moving On, I think it's called, something like that. But yeah, he's great. Well, what do you have for movie news? What are you excited for? What do you know is going on in the world of cinema?
Nothing really. I was actually going to see if you just want to move on to I See You.
I was going to say, I have I woke up this morning to see that Keanu Reeves is going to be playing Batman. I thought in
the dog animated
superhero
movie.
Which I woke up to that and literally thought it was April 1st, because I was like, there's no way they're rebooting Batman already. So he's
they're going to show that trailer in front of the Batman, and yeah, I was very surprised.
They did?
Yeah.
Really? No way.
That's Warner Brothers.
Yeah. And then I'm just trying to think of a couple new trailers that came out recently. Bullet Train, haven't seen the trailer yet, but it's a new Brad Pitt movie with a big cast. Morbius comes out April 1st. I know that's been pushed back a ton for years and years. Not really my kind of movie, but I'm a Jared Leto obsessive person. And then for me, really, it comes down to one movie, The Bubble. I just gotta say, Karen Gillian a few days ago posted, it was like, what was it, Glacier Beast 6 or whatever, and she posted this picture, and it was her and a bunch of other people, Keegan-Michael Key, David Duchovny, and she was like, this is the best movie franchise I've ever worked on. I was like, girl, you're working on Marvel, but what is this movie franchise? But you could tell that like there was something to it, like it was something. And then she dropped a trailer for it. Judd Apatow is making this new movie called The Bubble, and it's that cast, his wife Leslie Mann, one of his daughters.
Yeah, I haven't seen the trailer yet, but
you haven't?
No.
It's co-written by Pam Brady, who I think did a ton of Adam Sandler movies back in the day. I think she might have been SNL, and it's just basically about one of the 2 movie productions going on in the beginning of a pandemic, and how all of the cast is trying so hard not to get sick, and they're all quarantined with each other, going crazy. But it's all done in like they're all working on like a Game of Thrones dragon kind of movie. So a lot of it cuts between like the actual footage and then them on set with like the green screens and everybody. So it's just, I watched the trailer probably like 6 times in a row. It's incredibly innovative, like nothing you've ever seen before, and just looks like a piss your pants kind of funny movie.
Oh, nice. I'll watch the trailer. Yeah. I'll watch it after this, because I love Judd Apatow. And yeah, I guess for like this month, I know there's I think Batman already came out obviously, but then there's Turning Red, the new Pixar movie, which looks pretty funny. I know there's a Downton Abbey movie coming out, I think, and what's that movie? There's another Sandra Bullock Channing Tatum movie, I think.
Oh, I cannot wait for that. Paradise Island or something.
Oh, The Lost City, that's what it is. But April's looking like a cool month, because there's Morbius, Sonic 2, Ambulance, the new Michael Bay movie.
Yeah. Sonic 2 came out quick.
The Northman too. The Northman looks insanely cool.
There's going to be a naked sword fight on a volcano. Robert Eggers has just announced that.
Hell yeah!
I'm not a fan of his at all.
No?
I don't know anything about this movie, but yeah. He made The Witch. He made The Witch.
The
right?
Witch and The Lighthouse.
Yeah, after I saw The Witch, I was like, nope. Like I'm good forever.
You gotta see the lighthouse, yo.
Once I saw the trailer for the lighthouse, I was like, nope, still good forever. It's
Why?
a great cast. One, it's black and white. Nothing made today.
You fucking hurt me sometimes.
Nothing made today in black and white is good.
Wrong.
Nothing.
That's so wrong, dude.
It's pretentious, and they're trying to win an Oscar.
How is it pretentious?
The artist.
How is it pretentious?
Why do you need to do black and white? Why?
I would say because just the way it captures light is different, and it's more striking. It's more striking contrast. It can evoke like older noir movies. I think there's definitely still like a reason to make certain things in black and white. It's that movie is incredible looking. Every shot looks like a painting in The Lighthouse.
The Witch was one of those like, hey, this is the greatest, scariest movie of the year, and then you sit there for 2 hours and a goat talks, and then the credits roll, and you go, okay, that was it.
Damn. You should tell this to Zach on our next episode because that's like one of his favorite movies. He's gonna like fucking cry.
This is why you and I are good. We differ.
Yeah, but no, The Lighthouse is way different than The Witch.
I do want to see it. I mean, it's Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, and aren't they just on drugs? Fucking
yeah,
roommates?
they're like absolutely crazy in the movie. It's a real great like duo actor showcase. It's fucking crazy, especially Willem Dafoe. Yeah, definitely don't not see it because it's really fucking cool.
I don't know if it's real or not, but I read something that mermaids were made up because sailors were at sea for so long and got like so horny and deprived of any, I guess, what's that word? Just human interaction and physicality, that they would start to see like sea otters and seals like on rocks and like jetties and islands, and they would literally picture them as like naked women because that's how horny they were.
Yeah, being
learning new facts of the Weiliotis podcast.
Yeah, saying like a sex makes you do crazy things. But yeah, no, there's a lot of cool stuff coming soon. But yeah, anything else? Any other news? Anything?
I'm sure, but
well, yeah, they
I just want to see the bubble. I can't think of anything else, man. It's like when the Tropic Thunder trailer first came out, and I was just like, nothing else in my life matters until I see this movie in theaters at least twice.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we generally just kind of movie news wise, we just kind of talk about what interests us. Because like this time we were trying. It's funny, we said we were gonna shorten it, but now it's even longer than it usually is. So it's like, okay.
So let's talk about the movie I See You. It was good. Rent it. Check it out. Thanks for listening to the Weiliotis podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
You can find us on Twitter. No, so I'm excited because I think this is another movie where one of us recommended it to the other person, and then we never talked about it until now. So we're here to talk about this movie, I See You. Came out in 2019, directed by Adam Randall and written by not Adam Randall. Who is it written by? Let's find out. Let's go on to the Wikipedia page. It was written by Devin Gray. And I think the biggest things to point out is, just like you said in the beginning, the best part of this movie simply is that it blends genres. It's a movie where it opens up with it's basically the premise of this movie is there's a small town, Helen Hunt, we haven't seen in a while, just pops up in this horror thriller. Basically, I like movies like this that are the stereotypical trope. I like that. Is one of the first rules that you learn when you're writing or in film school or whatever. You learn two things: show, don't tell. So show, don't tell. So like, don't show a couple being like, we are fighting. Like show one smash a glass or something. This I thought was really good because anytime you ever write something, you have to say, okay, we need to write this in the character's most difficult time of their life or the biggest change they've ever had going on. You always have to catch the characters in a movie or show or book during the already most stressful, biggest event of their life. So this movie follows Helen Hunt. She just slept with somebody. Her husband still lives in the house. They're kind of trying to get around it and work through it. The son, who's a teenager, completely resents her and wants nothing to do with her anymore. And the opening scene of the movie, a boy is riding a bike and gets pulled off of the bike, and you don't see anything. He just hits something invisible and gets pulled off.
Yeah.
And you just go ghost.
Like he's
go
pulled
ghost
back,
story.
like his whole body just like flies off the back of the bike, which is a cool shot. It's like a nice cool slow-mo shot.
Yeah.
And again, like I like it because
okay.
this is the first kind of I don't know, the first instance where they set something up that again has this like supernatural element. So and then only to kind of later explain really what happened in this moment. So yeah, it's the first instance that kind of throws you off a little bit.
There's just so much to this movie. I mean, I think my favorite things about it, and we'll get more to it, are, of course, the genre blending and the, hey, you thought it was this movie, but it's really, a serial killer movie, and you thought this. Did you ever see Funny Games?
Oh, yeah, I've seen Funny Games.
Remember, like, halfway through, they're like, that's not how it went, and then they, like, redo the whole entire movie? This movie didn't do that exactly, but what I like about this movie is you watch half of the movie, and then they go back to the beginning and show you the POV from the other, people in the movie. They show you, when you saw earlier in the movie, this cup fell. We're going to show you now why it fell. Well, actually, so the whole first half of the movie.
I was just saying, just thinking about it now, what you just said is, and I mentioned earlier about the after party and who, kind of whodunits, I mean, you can even go back to like older stuff like the Mousetrap at Agatha Christie or whatever. But like this movie in some ways actually does have that whodunit aspect because we rewatch scenes from different angles, different perspectives. Because again, like what we think is happening, like okay, with this character, we think maybe this character did something to a different character, and then we see it from a different angle and we realize the what's really happening, and that happens a lot in this movie. It's not just a one-time thing where they kind of flip something on its head. I feel like there's probably like 2 or 3 almost like reveals in this movie, like big reveals that we kind of learn throughout. But yeah, it's kind of what I liked about it so much because, like I said, first maybe third or so, you're kind of thinking it's this something supernatural maybe with the home, and halfway pretty much right at the halfway point, we kind of learn why there's been these weird little occurrences going on in the home, why like, the TV has turned on or off by itself, why things have been moved.
The picture frames are all empty by halfway in the movie, one at a time.
Yeah, so I guess to go into that a little bit, so we learn halfway that there is 2 like teenagers or 2 like college kids who snuck in the house and are doing something called frogging, which is you secretly are on someone's property without their knowledge. So they sneak into this house when they're gone, and every day the family's home, these 2 kids, these 2 guys, this guy and this girl are inside the home, pretty much just watching them, utilizing their space, sleeping there. And one of the guys is kind of a creep, and he wants to kind of play games and I guess essentially make the family think they're going crazy. I think his name is Alec, and he's with someone named Mindy. So they're the two people that are frogging in the house. And we learned again from different perspectives, different POV shots, that he's the one that stole a remote, was changing it, turning it on or off, and was, tilting picture frames and just progressively becoming creepier too throughout the movie. Like it goes from small little things like just moving an item to like putting on this literal frog mask and like stalking the family. Which again, that's I think where it goes from being supernatural to then like home invasion, almost like slasher-y, elements in that regard.
Which is not part of frogging either, and that's the interesting thing is frogging is just a kind of YouTube viral thing that you do. So go to somebody's house, you just sit there for a couple of days, you film yourself there, and then you leave, and then you upload the video a few days later and say, hey, I frogged at this person's house. But he takes it a little bit farther.
Yeah.
And Mindy and him, you can tell, they're in this kind of like wealthy person's house, and they're like, oh, I never had this growing up. You can tell now they're even just kind of bouncing from house to house and, kind of doing that. And I don't know if they're a couple or not, but like they basically wind up in this house, and she is just wants to leave. She's just realizing that it's time to move on to another house, and he has other plans. And what I love about it too is how it shows the different things, is it shows you how you're rooting for different people. So when you watch the movie different ways, you're rooting for different things. Like there's the scene where the dad goes to turn the record player off, and as he's turning it off, somebody comes at him with an axe. And at first you're like, oh, you're rooting for the dad, you don't want this to happen. And then it goes back and you find out why the guy is coming at him with an axe.
Yes.
And like why that was happening. And like, even I think it takes one time to watch it, but second, third time around watching this, you're really like, oh, it really puts you into a different perspective where it's like, who am I rooting for? Who do I want to come out on top of this? Why is this person doing this? And yeah, I mean, so the dad is a cop. He's, looking at the disappearance of this new kid who came off the bike. At one scene, they go to a house to go look at a kid who escaped, 10, 15 years ago, who escaped, being kidnapped, and he kind of like trembles when he sees them. And that's a big foreshadowing scene. And I think I talk about this probably every episode on the podcast. This is why I want to make a movie. I want to make it for the test audience. The scene where they show up at that guy's house and he's sitting there, in the shed, and he turns around and looks at the cops and he gets like nervous. You find out why that is later is because the dad is the one who's been kidnapping these kids and killing them.
Yeah.
And him quivering, then you just think, oh, this guy looks kind of weird. He's probably tweaking or something, but nope. He just is there with his kidnapper and is terrified. And like, just so much of this movie second time around is like,
well, and again, I think that's what's cool about it is because again, it's not like the first major reveal. Like the whole frogging aspect kind of is. So you kind of assume like, all right, maybe this kid Alec is going kind of crazy, and he ends up doing some more vicious kind of violent acts. But yeah, you're right. It's the second big reveal happens to be that Greg, Helen Hunt's husband, the detective, he actually is the one that has kidnapped these children. And there's a because that's all right. There's a scene when I think Alec hides, what's her name, Mindy, in the back of the car, and then Greg drives the car to go see the kids he has locked up in the middle of nowhere, and that's when Mindy finds out about that, and then she gets killed by Greg, obviously.
She finds the two kids out in the woods, and she tries to set them free, and he puts her back in the car, brings her back to the house, and then wakes her up and is like, stand up so I can kill you. And that scene's super tense. The second time around, I didn't remember if she got up or not, but he literally makes her get up off of the bench so he can kill her, and like, there's not going to be anything left behind, a trace of anything. And I thought that scene was like super, super unique. That kind of like, go ahead, not exactly, but that kind of scene in the movie where they're like, go ahead, like, I'm letting you go. And then you're like, oh, they're going to shoot them right as they're walking away. And that scene was just super, because he's a cop. He's, I guess, meticulous. He knows what he's doing. He knows if he shoots her when she's on the bench, there's going to be, blood and stuff left behind. And the way he does it is just super disturbing and interesting. But yeah, I mean, the of course we always do this. My background here is Helen Hunt and the guy that she's having an affair with. He shows up to the house. He's like, I want to be with you. She's like, my husband just found out about the affair. I can't have you showing up here now. And then a pot falls from the third floor, a mug, and hits him in the head, and that winds up leading to his death in a longer way. But I mean, the house, as you can tell, I think she's a doctor or a psychologist. The house, as you can tell, is a big house. So there's a lot going on throughout the movie, a lot of different clues to kind of pick up on, and a lot of things that you think in the beginning are kind of, ghost story turn out to be Alec's character is doing it all for a very almost valid reason. Did you feel him messing with them was valid? Was he ever planning to burn the house down or get the final revenge, or just kind of fuck with them and leave?
Well,
till it got out
if
of
I'm not
hand.
mistaken, because the last big reveal in the movie, so obviously Mindy is killed and Greg goes back to the house, and there's kind of this final, like, a little bit of a showdown between Alec and Greg, and Greg is trying to find him, stalking throughout the house, and after he's actually taken out, the other detective, who I'm trying to remember, Gregory Allen Williams, who is also from Righteous Gemstones, he's the other detective. Cool. He shows up, and Alec says his name, Detective Spinsky. He's like, Detective Spinsky, and like the detective recognizes him. So we learn, like, okay,
As he shoots.
Yeah,
him.
as he shoots, because he shoots him in the shoulder, and or it's right after he shoots him, and we're like, oh, they know each other, and it's
I got the chills.
yeah. They show a flashback at the end where there's a younger Alec and one of his friends who encounter Greg, and it basically shows that Alec was a previous victim of the detectives, and they also show the Greg giving him the green pocket knife, which actually pops up at one point in the movie as well. So it kind of reconnects that whole thing. But
the pocket knife, or is that the Yoshi? The Yoshi.
I think or I thought it was the pocket knife, the little green pocket knife. But or the one they find. Remember it's in the soap at that one scene. Like they stick it in the soap. Yeah. So so we learned that Alec years ago had been a victim of Greg from Greg, and I forget too. I don't think that was intentional. Like Alec didn't go to that house knowing that, which I mean, you could almost say it's almost like a little too coincidental maybe. Okay, he
out of all
of all houses he literally picks the one that of his prior harasser or whatever. But again it's done in a way that's pretty fun, and it does at least lend itself to some more emotional weight.
And that's what's so interesting is he winds up frogging there just to fuck around and film himself, and then once he sees the picture frames, that's when he's like, this was the guy. And the fact that he didn't leave terrified, and then he was like, oh, I'm an adult now, I'm gonna stand my ground, and and I don't think it was ever supposed to get to the point where it got, but it got out of hand real fast towards the second half. And now when the cop went to go visit that guy, the guy with the weird face who trembled when he saw them, was that Alex's friend? Did they both escape? Or did I think only Alec escaped, and then the other guy escaped at a different time,
I think
right?
so, yeah. Yeah. I don't remember them showing anything with his friend.
Because remember when they were at the train station when they first get kidnapped? That was the flashback. These two kids are on the train track. Alec has the little Yoshi Pez dispenser, and the cop comes up and says hi to them, and that's where they get taken away.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it's just such a roller coaster whirlwind of a movie. I just think in a time where nothing has not been done before, this movie has not been done. I mean, I think frogging is a thing.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it sounds kind of fun. If you could get away with it.
It's scary to think about, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just, and Helen Hunt's, the guy shows up who's cheating on her, who she's cheating on her husband with, and then Alec throws the pot, knocks him out, and then he goes into the garage to hide out, and then of course the husband comes in and kills him. But even that's something that you don't find out till later. You find out that somebody kills him, and then it goes back and you find out that's the cops. I mean, it's just another kind of whodunit kind of movie, another kind of who's responsible, what the hell's going on right now. And I just like that. I like that movie where it pauses and it goes back and it's like, hey, we're going to show you now from the beginning how everything went down.
I mean, it's cool because the frogging aspect definitely comes out of nowhere, because they first, I think the movie cuts to black and then it comes into a POV shot of a video camera. So it almost has found footage, a little bit of a found footage aspect too, which that was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that almost feels like it comes out of nowhere. I mean, obviously it explains the weird occurrences in the home, but I definitely was not expecting that to happen. And I guess thinking about it now, as much as I like this, there are a couple aspects I feel kept it from being truly amazing. And one of them is Helen Hunt, because she's good. Obviously, she's good in pretty much everything she's in. But I don't know, she felt maybe not enough to work with, or a little bit on autopilot in this movie. I feel like she,
not really a main character, right?
Well, she is at first, it feels like, because obviously, like you said, her son resents her for sleeping with another man. Obviously, her current marriage is on the phrase because of that. But so there's all this build up. There's all this setup for what she did and how that affects her family. But I don't know, it almost feels at a certain point maybe the first half she's kind of present and she's doing stuff, but then later in the movie she kind of dips out for a while. And I don't know, I just felt maybe it was building up like there was more to her character, but then they kind of like stopped working on her, stopped developing her, or advancing her into the plot more, which I just thought was kind of weird because it's like, all right, you had her. I mean, I think really the main reason they had her cheat on him was to kind of throw you off guard and make you sympathize with the husband more, so you wouldn't think that Greg was the killer. Which, if that's the case, I mean, she's more of a plot device than a character. But I mean, obviously, like I said, she's good in it. Obviously, she's Helen Hunt. She's good in pretty much most things. But I don't know, maybe a little missed opportunity with the character a little bit, or just not enough, like not figuring her into the plot later in the movie, more or less.
That is true. She disappears and she doesn't come back until all the cops show up at the house. And you find
like the last third, she's really not in it until like you said, like the last moment when she arrives at the home. I don't even remember why she left, like where she went to. I'm trying to remember. Or was she with the son? She might have been with the son.
Think so.
Yeah. I forget.
Yeah.
But
I wonder what else these people made, the writers, directors, because it's just like so original and just like so premiered at South by Southwest in March 2019, released in December 2019, budget of $5 million, which is super cool.
Oh yeah, it does look really good for only being $5 million.
The screenplay has been around for screenplay writer has been around for a while. He did Merry Christmas, Drake and Josh.
Oh, Devin Gray, I've definitely. Oh, he plays he's like the younger Dexter in the flashbacks.
He is. He's in Dexter. Oh, so he's an actor writer. Saving Grace, American Horror Story, Asylum, The Mentalist. What? That's really cool.
That is really cool. Yeah,
because I see a screenplay writer.
The second I saw his face, I'm like, whoa, he looks familiar. And I haven't seen all of Dexter, but I've seen enough with him in it for sure.
Well, that's super cool. So let's see what Adam Randall has done before. Because, I mean, just, it's one of those things where I'm like, I would like to follow these people. I'd like to see what else they make. He has made, let's see, it's always weird when you find people, like, didn't make much after or before. I'm trying to think. Don't recognize too much by him. He worked in a TV show called Night Teeth. No, that's a made-for-TV movie.
Night Teeth.
Probably a vampire werewolf show. Yeah, I mean, we see you were definitely, I guess, pleasantly surprised watching this movie.
Yeah, you're great at recommendations in general, but like I feel like for horror movies, there's been a handful that you've recommended that have just been better than average. Like just more unique, challenging movies, and this is definitely one of them to a big degree. Like I said, I think it's like a good exercise in like plot development and definitely switching things up, providing different POV, point of views for events that occurred, which makes, again, like you said, makes it fun. It adds that sort of like whodunit aspect to it, in addition to, again, like throwing you off guard for being supernatural and then maybe feeling like a stalker home invasion movie. And so it's cool that it's able to dip into each of these, like I said, these like little subgenres or different like parts of horror and do them pretty successfully, I think.
I love watching a movie where nobody can call it. Even the people who can call any movie could never call it. And then you talk to people and somebody goes, yeah, I called it. And you're like, nope, that caught you dead in a lie. There's no way. Like, this movie's so unpredictable, so crazy, so just all over the place. And I mean, it's like, I just like the perspectives of it. I mean, what if you went back and you watched, I mean, I of course, you look at Freddy Krueger, you look at Michael Myers, you look at Jason. I mean, they all had their motives. They weren't, you don't really agree with the motives in this, and you don't really agree with their motives, but they all had their motives, like in this movie, Alex's character had a motive and he wanted to, take down the guy before he could kidnap anybody else or keep doing what he was doing. And I think clearly Alec wound up fucked up because of what happened to him. Here he is just kind of staying in people's houses with this girl and just kind of, he was pretty fucked up and just doing a lot of like weird shit, which I'm sure was all product of the dad. that kind of like nature versus nurture and kind of psychological torture thing, PTSD, all the stuff that he went through. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to look at in that perspective, just like that, axe scene where the dad, dodges the axe and there's the fight, and you're like, oh, that was close. The dad almost just got killed, and then later on you're watching that scene, you're like, oh, I hope he kills the dad. Like, I hope that he gets him with the axe. Or you're like, I know he doesn't get him with the axe, and now I'm upset with that. Like, I'm upset why that didn't happen. But the whole big reveal at the end, I mean, when him and the cop have the other detective have that interaction, just like, I think it goes to say so much too about detectives, I guess. I think that's a really interesting part of it, is that like, this boy Alec was kidnapped probably 10, 12 years ago. And here he is now, all these years later, grown up, looks different, everything's different about him. And he sees the detective, and immediately they remember each other.
Yeah. Just
goes to show that, like, the detective clearly saved him and gave him that kind of second chance. So he always, was down to the detective, and the detective remembers him as probably one of his few people that he saved before it was too late. And here they are reunited all those years later. Now, you said he shot him in the shoulder.
I think so.
So when the detective showed up, the dad had just been shot and killed by Alec. And then the detective shoots Alec. Do you think he was shooting to kill?
Maybe, because maybe he, at least in that particular moment, he thought he was the actual kidnapper and killer. So yeah, maybe. Or maybe it was just a really quick reaction. Like, I think it was supposed to be like a quick, like, oh god, that's him, quick, like, didn't even have like a chance to really aim properly. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, that scene is great when they look at each other. And the picture, if you're watching this behind me, is of Alec, like, after everything goes down. He's being taken to the hospital. And but yeah, the little exchange is so quick, but it's nice. Because you see that there's, again, another instance in the movie where there's more to the story than we thought. And I also have to say too, I was just looking at the poster. I love the poster for this movie because it has it's well, from a design standpoint, it has a lot of negative space, which I like, but also like it's just like the frog mask just shrouded in darkness, and it looks like the poster makes it look like it's just a straight up like horror, like slasher movie, And I also forgot to say too, obviously, I mean, it was probably already said multiple times, but like all the detective stuff in this movie also kind of makes it like a detective thriller movie too, because it is a little bit procedural. We have multiple scenes with Greg and Spitzy, and they're on crime scenes trying to divulge into what's going on. So there is that little detective-y kind of like procedural aspect of it too, which is cool.
And I think what's cool about this too is how many movies reunite a victim with both their kidnapper and their savior. I mean,
right,
all in one room, if you really think about it. And I really have questions about, the detective who comes in and shoots and then saves Alec at the end. Hi, Bubba. What exactly, where did he come into play? Because you almost would think that maybe the dad kidnapped these boys and then also played savior.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have made sense that they recognized him, because clearly they ran away from him. But I'm wondering, how did the other detective come in and save these kids, but his partner just wasn't at the scene?
Probably.
Or wasn't there?
You had to fake it, pretend he was on something else. And yeah, Spitzy got there first, making him kind of the first responder, the savior for the kids.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that you can work next to somebody for that long and not know who they are. And not, I guess if you're not involved in every piece of work, then you're going to miss some pretty big clues there. And I think it really just goes to show a lot about the small town thing. As you were saying, how did he wind up in the same house? And that is definitely a great question. But this could be in a, small town of, couple thousand people or something like that. And, if you think about it, process elimination, they're going to want to stay in a big house. The bigger the house, the more they can kind of stay in and occupy. And so I think that they found this big house and they're like, this is the one. This is, the rich house. We're going to be able to get the good lemonade when the family leaves. They're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you could even say, like, that's sort of the, like, deeper meaning to the movie, where it's almost like fate that brought him back to this house that specifically is where, this guy is, that inflicted pain and harassed him and did all this stuff to him in the past. So yeah.
Did Mindy ever know?
Yeah, because she was in the car when, like, remember Alec put her in the car to hide her, and then.
But did she know that Alec was a victim? Back
I
in the day?
I don't know. I don't know if they ever talked or had a scene where they talked about it specifically.
And then my other question was, how did they know where the boys were? Because I think. Was Mindy filming out in the woods? Or no, she made a phone call. Yeah, remember,
that's what I was saying about the car. She got knocked out, and then Alec put her in the car. Greg drove the car to the site where the two kids were locked up, and then she woke up in the car and then went into the trailer and saw the two kids locked up.
But I think it was because she made the phone call. Because the cops wind up going back and rescuing the two kids. But how would they have known where the two kids were? I think it was because she called, and then as the call picked up, the cop grabbed her and put her in the back of the seat again.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the cops drove to. Yeah. Because otherwise they wouldn't have known where these kids were in the woods. Because the only one who knew was Mindy and the cop, and now they were both dead. That's what else was kind of interesting in the end of this. And we've definitely seen that in movies before too, where it's for example, I've been following that VHS Instagram account. We gotta have them on. I found them because Mike P. Nelson was gifted a VHS of Wrong Turn by this woman. She makes like every TV show and movie into VHSs, like actually puts them onto tape and then also makes the VHS boxes for them too. It's really cool and interesting. But anyway, she made one the other day for Gerald's Game, and that's what reminded me of this. Is Gerald's Game is clearly husband and wife are trying to spice up their sex life. He handcuffs her, and then he has a heart attack and dies, and she's handcuffed to a bed. And I think that this is what kind of makes this movie interesting, is that they find the kids in the woods. They're like, okay, these kids could be set free. This could be it for them. And then the only two people who knew where they were are now both dead. If she never made that call, those kids would have just died out there. Just by themselves.
That's a great point. So it was like great, obviously, that like Alec even put her in the car in the first place. Like, I mean, obviously she died, but like she is the reason that the kids were found. Interesting connection too to Gerald's Game. That's a good movie, the one that came out. I think there might be multiple versions of it, but I know there's the recent one that came out on Netflix a few years ago.
So that one just came out with Carla Cugina, and then Megan Fox did a very similar movie last year. Almost identical. Not the same movie, though. It's a Stephen King book, right?
It is, yeah. And
I just bought...
Who made it? Oh, Mike Flanagan, who made like Dr. Sleep and the House on Haunted Hill and all
Hill
that.
House. Yeah. Oh shit. Yeah. Black Mass, which is doing great now. I didn't know that. I just bought 20th Century Ghosts. I don't ever read, but I bought Joe Hill's first ever short story compilation. He's Stephen King's son.
Oh yeah.
And I bought his book 100% so I could read The Black Phone before it comes out this summer. I'm not a person who buys a book ever. I loved the movie Big Fish so much. I went and bought the book after and read it because it has some extra scenes and it's all different. But for me, I'm usually like Black Phone comes out in 6 months. I'll just wait to see it. But I can't wait to see it.
It's fun reading before you watch a filmic adaptation of something. I did that. I actually did that for Dr. Sleep. And it was super fun.
Did?
Like just to be like, like they did that right, or they left something out, and yeah. I kind of feel. I mean, actually, I do buy quite a few books, but I usually I buy them from like thrift stores because I can buy like a stack for like $5. Or now that I'm in San Diego, there's a ton of all those little libraries everywhere, which are awesome. People, you can take
like a mailbox,
take one, leave one. So I've got so many books. I mean, I should go back and just drop some off too, because I feel like I've taken more than I've left, which is fine. They say most of them are like, take one, leave one if you can. I'm like, hey, free knowledge.
They're gonna start posting about you.
Yeah, I know. Most wanted San Diego because I've stolen books.
Not given one book. That's all the crime for San Diego. That and something at the zoo. Well, I think what we should do is you should get some books from there and leave our screenplays in the mailbox. That's not a bad idea for San Diego.
Actually, that'd be a great idea. Someone would definitely pick it up fast, probably.
Wait, so what if we just printed it in a book format?
Yeah. That'd be cool.
Oh my god.
It's a great idea.
We're doing this.
Yeah, we should.
We're
Maybe just
definitely
like
doing
because
this.
it's funny. Like I see them all the time. Like there's so many of them. I could pop them in a bunch all around town. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if we just did that and then wrote like, copyright on the inside,
Yeah.
and been like, yeah, this movie is currently in production, just so like nobody takes the idea. Not a bad idea. I think it would be one of those things where like, like Spielberg's like neighbor gets a hold of it and was like, hey, Steven, you should check this out.
Definitely.
And then we can be in like a documentary of marketing in 10 years of like, how'd you get your screenplay sold? Well, those free books. Yeah.
Little libraries is how I got
This
my
is-
movie made.
It's the one that Tom left behind. There's got to be a story in there too somewhere. People leaving books behind or something.
I love it because there's also there
Uh-huh.
is like that history. I'm like I pick up a book and I'm like I wonder who's read this, where this has been. Like I wonder. You never know how long it was just chilling in someone's house for on a shelf somewhere.
That's the difference between you and I. Is I get that book and go, how gross is the person who had this book before? Like, did they like sneeze in
Well,
it?
there's that aspect too.
Were they
It's every
eating-
aspect. Yeah, like
Were they
yeah,
eating
was it like in
over
the
it?
bathroom, collecting black mold? Yeah,
Was
it in someone's attic?
Did they only read it when
Did,
they
like,
were pooping?
5,000
I don't know.
spiders crawl over it at one point. Like who the hell knows?
Oh
So
my-
I've collected
oh
a lot
my
of books.
God.
It's cool. Same thing when I was in Georgia. There was a lot of those around too. Not so much in Vegas. A couple, but not a ton. But yeah, I guess for I see you. Any final thoughts, words, anything?
Yes. My one word review. No, I just think I just rented it on TV. I think it was just rented for a couple.
Yeah, or
bucks.
actually, I think it's on Amazon Prime if you have a membership. I think
For
so.
free?
Yeah,
Otis, yeah. You know what?
I'm gonna check now because I think that's how I watched it.
I see you. Yeah, I mean it's a cool return to Helen Hunt. I mean, really, the last thing that I'd seen her in was amazing movie called The Iron Lung.
Oh yeah, I never saw that. Pretty good though.
Helen Hunt. Yeah, I mean it's John Booth. Is that his name? Who's like one of the best indie actors of freaking all time.
John Booth.
He's in it.
John
and it's
John Hawkes.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
John Hawkes. yeah.
John Wilkes Booth.
I always want to say John Wilkes Booth and John Hawkes. There is somebody maybe named John Booth. I don't know. I see you. Just pulled up. Let me find out where it is. So it's on here. Yeah, watch again. I guess it is free. I think you are correct on Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's just such a cool, original, unique movie. It's scary. It's fun. It's innovative. It's unlike anything you've seen. It's like a couple different things that you've seen and liked put together, and it just it makes you think and it makes you proud and I guess happy that there's still some original pieces of content that are being made. This is not a sequel. It's not a prequel. It's not a remake. It's not based off of anything. It's just a unique story that was written by an actor.
I think this is his
screenplay
first
writer.
written screenplay too, which is cool. Yeah,
Really?
or one that got made at least. But no, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree for the most part. Like I said, there are a couple of things that could have been tightened up a little bit. Like I said, I almost wish Helen Hunt had more to work with, or at least her character was kind of tied into the plot a little more nicely. But with that said, no, this is another really cool, inventive, unique horror movie that does have a good cast for the most part, that does throw you off balance multiple times and in very fun ways. It blends all these different aspects of horror, like I said, found footage, slasher, supernatural, detective. It's able to kind of like, very lightly utilize those aspects and put them in this movie to great advantage. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I definitely would like to see it again, for sure. And maybe, I don't know, maybe pick up on some stuff I haven't before. It definitely seems like there's a lot of small details just constantly being thrown at you, which is cool.
It's fun to watch with other people too.
Yeah, especially if they haven't seen it and you have. You could just wait to see their reactions.
Yeah, I watched it with a friend recently, and you just kind of stare at them the whole time and wait for them to be like, I had no idea this is happening, and you're like, I know, that's why we're watching this movie. Yeah, it was a cool, original, unique movie. Yeah, you want to talk a little bit about our next few episodes? What we got?
Sure.
planned?
Yeah. So our next episode is going to be episode 24. We're going to have a guest on. Zach Mellon from the Mummy Dearest podcast. We're going to be talking about Idle Hands, so that's going to be great. I believe, it's our first guest of the year, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And you haven't seen
I haven't seen Idle Hands
yet?
At this very moment of recording, and I'm excited. I love the cast.
We knew we wanted to get Zach Mellon on from Mellon, right? Zach Mellon from Mummy Dearest, and Mummy Dearest is named Mummy Dearest after the Mummy, Brendan Fraser. Their
that and the movie Mommy Dearest too.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. That's awesome. I don't even know what that is. But yeah, they're kind of a 90s, early 2000s kind of movie. So they do a lot of Brendan Fraser. So, once we knew that we had him coming on the show, we wanted to do something that was in his realm, his kind of interest. And I mean, 8th grade, I used to watch Idle Hands like it was my job. I mean, I watched that movie so many times back in the day. It is a perfect horror comedy. Devon Sawa, Seth Green, Jessica Alba. It's a lot of fun, based on like an Idle Hands kind of myth or something like that. But yeah, we have that coming up. Like Tom said in the beginning, we're going to do pre-Oscars. That'll probably be a quick episode, just kind of talk about what we've seen out of the Oscars and what we're pushing for. We'll do post-Oscars where we talk about how bored we were watching the Oscars, how we hate that the little man and women didn't get recognized for. I mean, you look at the Grammys. The Grammys every year will be like 9 awards, right? But there's really like 80 categories.
Yes.
I mean, there are Christian Grammys, there are radio Grammys, comedy award Grammys, there are Grammys for everything you could imagine. There's a Grammy for it. So it's the same with the Oscars, same with the Emmys. So many things get untelevised, and then you have to just read about it the next day. And that part's going to be sad about the Oscars, because you're going to tell me there's going to be 3 hosts and they can't have all of the categories covered?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mentioned earlier how weird that was, that they're cutting multiple categories, and it's like, again, who are you advertising to at this point? Because if you want to amass more viewers, I feel like that's not a good way to do it. I mean, you might think like, oh, it will save time, but at this point, it's like I feel like they're almost alienating like people that actually like really love movies. It's like, okay, so it's like you're not really catering to them, and general audiences don't care still really. So it's like, what are you aiming to do with that? I don't know. But I honestly, with that said though, I am interested to see what they're doing, because they know that for years and years, even before COVID, that the viewership has been going down, and how they have to keep changing it up. And so I don't know. I'm interested as always to see what they try to do.
We should. So I do an Oscar pool every year. What do you think? And this year we're maybe up it a little bit, like $20 a head.
$20. How many people we got? Yeah,
like
6.
That'd be
cool.
That's a dinner. But yeah, we do an Oscar pool every year. The Oscars are my Super Bowl, so I bet money. We have a Facebook chat going. I think that this year we should have a separate bets as well on like how many actors are going to bring up like social
that'd be
events, and like how many actors are going to get up there and be like, when I played Spider-Man, I felt like connected because the war going on overseas.
The war in Ukraine. Yeah. We're like, wait, what?
It's like, sure.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna want to be like,
and also
an actor. Or I guess it's mainly actors, but you could say anyone that accepts an award, and like starts talking about like change in the world, or it gives like a super moving, like tearful, speech or whatever. Because I know, I forget when. I think it was for Fences a couple years ago. Viola Davis won, and it was a great speech, but it was so powerful. Like almost like too dramatic. Like,
I like it when the role is dramatic. Like when you have like Denzel Washington playing like a black rights activist, and he goes up and talks about it, and you're like, yeah, like he's like, I connected with this character and this and that, and we're still seeing it in the world today. But then you have people who are just like, I'm trying to think. Then you have people who are like in the Mitchells and the Machines animated Pixar movie, whatever the hell it is, and they get up and they're like, thanks to Disney, thanks to my professor who taught me design, and most of all, Gandhi had a message. You're just like, it's like you made a movie about like a road trip with aliens or some shit. We also how many people will say, kids, if you're watching this, get to bed. That's another one. And then which person is going to go over?
Yeah,
their
like
time?
when they're still talking, but the music starts playing.
And I respect, I mean, as you and I are filmmakers and you know, we want to get more into the industry one day, I respect the shit out of that. When it's like, best lighting, Susan Templeton, and this woman gets up, she's like never even attended the Oscars. She did a movie and she goes up and talks for 7 fucking minutes. And she's being played off the whole time. And she's just like, when the fuck am I going to be up here again? Like, that is my favorite part of the Oscars, where you're just like, yes. Like, she's just like,
yeah, like make the most of it.
Shit?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get the fuck off this
That's a
stage.
good point.
I
And
mean,
also, like,
that.
I will also feel like that, you know, like people in maybe more technical categories that you're right might be their first Oscar. Like, they're so grateful that they have to list off like everybody. Like, oh, I can't not name somebody that like put me in this position. So, you know, I get that completely. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll talk about. Well, who will be in England and not at the award ceremony? Who will be filming? Who will be filming in Atlanta and couldn't show up? God.
Who will be the first to make some kind of
probably...
like joke about how shitty the pandemic is or something?
Oh
I just thought of another one too. I'm forgetting it though. Yeah, you could say who's gonna have the longest speech. Maybe who has the shortest one. Yeah,
that'd be good. Yep, Robert Pattinson. I didn't want to fucking be here. I didn't want
to win this. Goodbye. It'd be like I think the shortest speech ever in Oscar history is Joe Pesci winning for Goodfellas. He literally just got up and goes,
"Oh really?"
He's like, "Thank you to the Academy," and then just walks off. It's like all he says. Literally, it's the best.
Oh, okay. So we need to make this a whole Instagram post. Write this down. But I want to know who's gonna go up and be like, you know what, this trophy's gold, man. And, you know, we're getting these bags at this party with the new iPhone and all of this. We don't need this. We should be donating this to schools in Uganda. Like, I hate coming to these parties. I hate going out and having caviar and expensive champagne. This is what's wrong with the world. All right, Leo, see you later.
Yeah, I'm going to hop in my limo and my Escalade limo and drive over there.
my private jet to go back to
I like that. I might be eating a $2,000 dinner. I might be eating caviar by the spoonfuls, but I'm going to do so mournfully. Yeah, but I will be sad when I'm doing it.
It's like when Al Gore was promoting his environment movie, taking his private jet all over the world.
An inconvenient truth, yeah.
Oh, I just love that shit. We're gonna make this.
Yeah.
We're gonna make our, and it's funny because like I remember I sent you the article a few weeks ago. Like the Super Bowl had some kind of thing that were like, here are the weirdest bets people are placing on. Like you can go to Vegas probably during the Oscars and find a place where you can bet on like, you know, give me 10-1 that Jessica Chastain wins, and you could like lose your house because Jessica Chastain got robbed for the Eyes of Tammy.
Oh, right.
Yeah. All I have to say is that if Andrew Garfield was not nominated already for Tick, Tick, Boom, which is a Lin-Manuel Miranda directed movie, it looks good. It's about the guy who wrote Rent. If he were not already directed for that, nominated, he would have been nominated for The Eyes of Tammy Faye.
Yeah.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen that or Tick, Tick, Boom. I'm lacking on my Andrew Garfield
movies. I
movies.
haven't seen Tick, Tick, Boom. Tammy Faye is gonna make you extremely, extremely uncomfortable.
Nice.
It's a true story. It's real. It's about televangelical.
I'm all into that now, especially after watching Righteous Gemstones. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which, again, that show takes such a funny like approach to that whole like televangelical weird like mega church kind of stuff. So.
And we've lived through what, like 7 floods down in Texas where Joel Osteen just shuts his church down and leaves.
Yeah, he has this
outside.
like amazing facility that's just like, oh, people are like, their lives are being ruined. Nope, shut my doors. I'm sorry, guys. Go make a boat out of like a door or something.
It's the weirdest world.
Oh, absolutely.
Right it is super windy here right now. I have both the ducks here. But yeah, once again, I keep saying I'm going to announce it officially on our social. Maybe I will by the time this episode comes out. Check out layrioda.com. Tom and I are always here to recommend some things to you. Check out our earlier episodes. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at either Weiliotis Podcast or the Weiliotis Podcast. Go to our website, theweiliotispodcast.com.
In the description, if you're watching us on YouTube or if you're listening on a player, if you go to the description, our website's there, and that will direct you to everything. All of our social, every other platform we're on. So,
And Nothing else out there is. If you just Google
Yeah,
Weiliotis,
I think we're literally on like
Go on
30 or 40 different like streaming things. Like, yeah,
I think so.
good old
Yeah,
SSR
yeah.
feed, and also yeah, I mean, if you're on YouTube too, make sure to give us a thumbs up if you wouldn't mind. Be awesome.
Which episode is this?
23
or
and
24?
24 will be Idle Hands.
Yeah, so it's the Michael Jordan episode.
Oh yeah.
Forgot to mention that in the beginning. We should have done Space Jam.
Oh
for this
yeah.
one.
Shit. Could have compared the new one and the old one.
We'll scrap this one.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Yeah. Thank you all for listening, and get home safe.
Enjoy the rest of your day, y'all. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.